The night was meant to celebrate artistry, achievement, and the enduring charm of China's television icons. The 2025 Weibo TV and Internet Video Summit had drawn together the brightest stars, the biggest networks, and the most passionate fans. Flashes of camera lights danced across the hall as celebrities arrived, draped in glittering gowns and tailored suits. But amid the elegance and applause, one story quietly stole the spotlight. A story that wasn't written on the guest list, but captured in silent glances and subtle tension. It was the reunion fans had waited years to see. Wang and Shen Yue, side by side once again in the same room. Their history was long, complicated, and unforgettable. They had once been the darlings of the screen, the perfect on-screen lovers in dramas that made millions believe in young love again. The chemistry had been undeniable. Every shared look, every laugh, every gentle brush of hands had seemed to blur the line between acting and reality. But time has a way of changing things. And that night, under the soft golden lights of the Weibo Summit, the distance between them spoke louder than any reunion could. Dylan entered first, sharp in a classic black suit, his confidence palpable. He smiled for cameras, signed autographs, nodded at colleagues, and greeted fans with his usual charm. But when his eyes swept across the room and landed, briefly, on Shen Yue, something shifted. She was standing near the stage, radiant in soft pink, her hair gently curled, her expression calm yet wistful. It had been months since they last shared the same space. And though both had moved on professionally, the undercurrent of unspoken emotion was impossible to ignore. The cameras rolled. Fans waited eagerly for a smile, a wave, anything that hinted at the connection they once had. But instead, something entirely unexpected happened. Dylan looked away. Quickly. Almost deliberately. As if eye contact itself would burn. He turned to greet another star, adjusting his jacket. And Shen Yue's faint smile faltered. It was barely noticeable. Just a fraction of a second. But the lenses caught it all. The clip spread like wildfire online within minutes. Dylan avoids Shen Yue, what's really going on? Headlines filled Weibo. Clips circulated on TikTok and Twitter. And fans began dissecting every second of footage. Some said he was nervous. Some said it was guilt. Others whispered it was heartbreak. But inside that grand hall, what unfolded between them wasn't anger or avoidance. It was the quiet ache of two people pretending they had never shared something beautiful. As the night went on, Dylan and Shen Yue were seated only 2 tables apart, close enough to feel each other's presence, yet far enough to hide behind polite smiles and carefully rehearsed laughter. Every time Shen Yue glanced his way, Dylan was already looking elsewhere. At the stage, at his co-star, at anyone but her. And yet, there were moments he couldn't control. Moments when the mask slipped. When his gaze softened for a split second, drawn to the familiar warmth that had once been his refuge. Moments when he looked at her, not as a colleague or a memory, but as the person who had once known his truest self. But each time their eyes almost met, he blinked it away. A fragile dance of near contact and emotional retreat. The audience noticed. So did the cameras. And so did Shen Yue. During the award segment, when Shen Yue's drama was mentioned among the top nominees, the hall erupted in applause. She smiled, humble and gracious, bowing lightly as the spotlight found her. Dylan clapped politely, but never looked at her. Fans zoomed in on the footage. He applauded with expressionless restraint, his gaze fixed forward. It wasn't anger. It wasn't pride. It was something far heavier. A weight that neither fame nor time could fully erase. People close to the two later revealed that the distance wasn't born overnight. That behind the polished image and gentle smiles, there had been misunderstandings, silent fallouts, and the complicated reality of two people growing in opposite directions. Dylan had always been fiercely private. Shen Yue, on the other hand, had learned to carry pain quietly, transforming heartbreak into grace on every public stage. And yet that night, the air between them was electric, not in romance but in restraint. Every unspoken word hovered like smoke. Every silence was deafening. Backstage, things became even more revealing. A short clip, posted by an audience member, showed the two crossing paths near the dressing area. They passed each other, close enough that the hem of Shen Yue's gown brushed Dylan's sleeve. He turned slightly as if to say something, but stopped. She smiled faintly, nodded politely, and walked away. It was quiet, simple, painful. That 5-second clip was replayed millions of times, analyzed in slow motion, captioned with words like regret, closure, and lost love. Because even in silence, they told a story of what once was and what could never be again. Later in the evening, Shen Yue took the stage to present an award. She spoke softly, her voice steady, her composure flawless. But when the camera panned to Dylan sitting in the audience, he was still. No smile, no nod, just quiet focus. His jaw slightly clenched, his fingers tightening around the edge of the table. Those who knew him well said he wasn't cold. He was conflicted, torn between emotion and duty, memory and reality. For all his professionalism, that night exposed a vulnerability no one expected to see. When Shen Yue exited the stage, the applause was thunderous. She smiled gracefully, but her eyes glistened. And for a brief second, Dylan's gaze followed her. Just once. Quickly. Almost like a reflex he could no longer suppress. But by the time she turned around, he was looking away again. Online, fans split into two sides. Some defended him, saying he was only being respectful, avoiding unnecessary rumors. Others believed he was hiding guilt. A few even speculated that he was protecting her from media backlash, that perhaps their distance was intentional, not emotional. But one thing everyone agreed on: there was no denying the energy between them. It was the kind of connection that even silence couldn't erase. By midnight, the event had ended. The stars filtered out one by one, smiling for the last round of photos. Shen Yue left first, her team escorting her quietly through a side exit. She didn't stop for interviews. She didn't speak, only offered a small wave before disappearing into the darkened parking area. Minutes later, Dylan followed, but in a different direction. Separate cars, separate lives, but somehow both looking back one last time before the doors closed. Later that night, social media was a storm of emotion. Clips of the event trended across platforms. Dylan avoids eye contact. Shen Yue's silent sadness. Lost love at Weibo 2025. Some fans wept. Others wrote long posts reminiscing about their early days, their first drama, their undeniable chemistry. Maybe love doesn't end, one fan wrote. Maybe it just learns to stay quiet. And that line echoed across the fandom like a whisper from the past. Behind the glamour